at line.com and across all of the ESPN Arkansas platforms. And in association with the Arkansas Sports Network, it's the only in-depth high school sports podcast in the state of Arkansas. It's Primetime Preps. And here's your hosts, Brad Caldwell and Bill Harshaw.
Primetime Preps. Bill Harshaw with you today, along with Jaiden Miller joining us in lieu of Brad Caldwell, who has found himself out on the road this week. He will be with us later on in the show as we talk about our interviews, our primetime guests that we have this week. We have Keith Zachary from Morrilton will be joining us later on in Primetime Preps, as well as Ryan and Jaiden Koerdt from Russelville. So we'll have those with us later on in the show. But Jaiden, thank you for joining us here on Primetime Preps, man.
Yeah, it's awesome. I'm excited to be here and get to join the crew and help them bring some information to the state of Arkansas on high school basketball and what's going on.
And it's going on in full force right now.
Yes, sir. Yeah, we've definitely got the districts going in some conferences, regionals starting today and some others. So great stuff.
A lot of great stuff going on. We've had basketball going on all season long. It's a season that we didn't know how it was going to play out or if he was even going to make it this far. But here we are in regional tournament action. All the district tournaments are pretty much wrapped up. But we've had some good showings, some good games that have went on across the River Valley or the Arkansas in general. And starting with a team that we've seen in person, Jaiden, Mayflower, the Lady Eagles, with a big game against Atkins recently, about 3 or 4 days ago. But that was a big performance by the Lady Eagles to get that win.
Yeah, we got the privilege at the Russelville Sports Network to cover a game for Dover Lady Pirates versus Mayflower. And Mayflower, at the time, that game was huge because Dover had given Mayflower its only loss in the conference. And it was like they were 1-2 right there. And we got to cover that game. It went to overtime. We had bonus basketball. And I remember that night that the main difference was Miss Camilla Turner for the Mayflower Lady Eagles. She had 28, I believe, in that game. And the other night in the district championship against Atkins, she started out a little sluggish, and Mayflower started out a little sluggish, but she scored 17 of her 21 points in the final 12 minutes of the game. And they overcame Atkins on a 59-51 victory to win the 3A5 Conference Tournament Championship at Eagles Gymnasium.
That's always a tough one to report on. Atkins, my alma mater. I always like to see them doing well, but they took it on the chin in a close one against Mayflower. And Camilla Turner, like you mentioned, she is a stud down underneath that basket. I remember that game as well. And just the ability for her to catch the basketball, turn, and get that layup was phenomenal.
Yeah, she's got a real soft touch around the basket and from the outside as well. She, I know there was a couple college coaches out there watching her, looking at, giving her some interest, and she's an exciting player. She's definitely a big part of what they do over Mayflower.
Absolutely. And Atkins had a big thing going until they ran into the buzzsaw that is the Lady Eagles. And, Atkins was looking for that tournament championship, but they're going to live on and hopefully do something more in more postseason action. Also, let's talk down in South Arkansas on the boys' side of things. Magnolia having a big district championship against Watson Chapel. And, we've had Darian Ford on the show. He's a player on that Magnolia team. And Darian Ford, he was shining out and showing out a 22-point win, or 22-point performance, I should say, by Darian Ford. And I'm hearing something about a nice dunk.
Yeah, he had a big he posterized somebody in that game, and he's got everybody there watching him all the time. He's a big Razorback target, and he showed out 22 points in the district championship. That's the 8-4A as Magnolia. They got their 50th straight win over Watson Chapel in that game, and they've just got it rolling down there. They haven't lost in 2 years. If they finish out this entire season, it'll be 2 straight years undefeated, and that's impressive.
Yeah, that's absolutely impressive. That's almost unprecedented. You don't see these types of streaks anymore. You may have saw them back in the good old days of basketball, so to speak, but these long winning streaks that Magnolia is on, for example, you don't see that very much anymore. And it's always exciting to see it, to follow it, and to see the kids that are a part of it go on to do better things. So with Razorbacks targeting Darian Ford, that's exciting to me because I like watching these kids play in high school and move on and watch them on TV. It's always fun to watch.
Yeah, definitely. And those 4A kind of kids, especially, you always want good things for the smaller districts, and 4A is kind of right there in the middle. But great job. They're getting it done down there. And like you said, you don't see those streaks a whole lot anymore. I can remember back in the 90s and early 2000s, teams like Stevens and Poland, I remember, was on a run for a while. And yeah, that's impressive.
Without a doubt. And, we've had a lot of other games going on. We're going to stay in the Russelville area on the next one as we kind of look at some 5A West Conference Tournament semifinal action as the Cyclones improved to 19-6, 12-1 in conference play. And speaking of streaks, they have back-to-back conference champs now after their big win over Siloam Springs.
Yeah, back 3 times. And I think I read where they had done that one other time in Russellville's history. And, we were talking about a school that had Big Nasty there at a certain point in time in the early 90s and late 80s, early 90s. And that's impressive. 3 in a row. They, like you said, 19-6, 12-1. And last night, actually, they played Siloam Springs in their conference tournament. And they won 45-42. So the Panthers of Siloam Springs made it a tough one on them, but they got the victory there. They're moving on to the championship. And the Russellville Cyclones, the boys and the girls, have already punched their tickets to state. So they both will be in state. So good job by the Cyclones.
Without a doubt. You mentioned some of the past greats there in Russellville with Corliss Williamson. You had another big one that came through that I'm excited to see where he goes. That's Talon Peter over in, I want to say, East Tennessee, somewhere over in that area is where he's attending college. But Danye May, we saw him, a lot, last season, backing up Talon Peter and outperforming him at times. But Danye May had a good performance over Mountain Home as well. And, he's starting to get some looks.
Yeah, I actually did some highlights for them one game this year, and he had a big night that night. Took over, and I sat right by his mom and dad, and they were very invested in the game. It was a fun atmosphere. Yeah, Danye May, he had 18 points in last week's 58-46 win over Mountain Home. That win over Mountain Home was when they clinched that 3rd straight conference championship. So he's getting some East Tennessee State and Wolford kind of interest. So big things coming for him. He's a 2022 kid, so he's got one more year to do this at Russellville. So I can't wait to see how he furthers his game, how he improves. So that, gets through this tournament at first, but on to the off season and to see how much he can build off of that and have a great senior season. Absolutely. Setting up nice for him.
It really is. Danye, I think he's got great potential to build off of in his senior year coming up next season in Russellville. As you put in the work in the off season, that's going to pay off during the season. And, we see what he did last off season to prepare for this season. So I can only expect Danye May to continue to improve there in Russellville.
Yeah, Russellville's got a few pieces. They've got a Savion Brock and some other guys there, and they're a team to watch out for in the 6A.
Absolutely, without a doubt. Now, in girls action, I'll be honest with you. I've been watching, getting ready for a lot of baseball. We do play-by-play and broadcast the Pottsville Apache baseball coverage. We've been working real hard getting that broadcast ready, so I haven't been able to pay attention to a lot of the games going on in regionals. Talk a little bit about some of the girls' regional action that you have followed up on.
Yeah, we couple of them I want to touch on is the 3A5 and the 3A6. They meet up in the Region 3 tournament, and both of those conferences are excellent. I mean, they've got some great teams in there. In that regional, it kicks off tonight, and we've got Lamar 17-7, 9-5 is what they finished up in the 3A5. That they've got the 4 seed, and they battled through the conference tournament. And they're going to play the CAC Lady Mustangs. CAC is 17-0, 14-0 on the season. They're undefeated They're led by Ava. How do you pronounce her last name again, Bill?
Ava Knadel.
Knadel, that's correct. Yeah, we had her on our show on Primetime Preps a few weeks back. Excellent young lady, terrific, and that's going to be a good game. Lamar, they everybody thought this was going to be just a throwaway year, a rebuilding year, weren't going to be much, but they proved that's not the case. They had Lakin Sanders. She graduated last year. She's now at the College of the O for the Eagles there in Clarksville. She was. She wasn't the whole team, but she was the main focus last year. She was outstanding young lady in high school basketball for the last 4 years for the Lamar Warriors. So they decided they're just going to rebuild. They're just going to reload. They've got a lot of talent over there and a good program. There's some good AAU stuff going on in Lamar. The Mavericks of Arkansas, some of them come out of there. And so they've got themselves in a position to play against CAC.
Yeah, Lamar has the culture, and I think that's bringing them forward in that rebuilding year that you speak of. I think it wasn't as much of a rebuilding year because of the likes of Sanders, who led that team on and off the court. And, that senior leadership, it instills that culture to win. And, whether they were out on the floor a lot last season or not, some of these girls, they know how to win because they've been taught how to do so by their upperclassmen. And those are the types of programs that'll scare you, because it doesn't really matter what the record is. That, hey, they may have lost a few games. They may have, be 17-7, such as Lamar, but you can promise you that those 7 losses, they played their heart out, and don't overlook them. So you're looking at undefeated, CAC. That's a tough matchup.
Yeah, definitely. CAC didn't get the best draw there, and Lamar, they didn't either. But that's what happens when you come into, as a 4. That's going to be a good game, though. And like we're saying, Lamar, they're going to be well coached. And I'm friends with a lot of people in the Lamar community. I see a lot of their posts, and they get after it, and they'll be in shape and ready to go. Some other games in that region, Region 3 in 3A is DeWitt. They are that's tonight as well. They're 16-7, 9-5. They're coming out of the 3A6, and they're meeting up with Mayflower. We talked about a little bit earlier. Mayflower ended up 19-5 overall, but 13-1 in the conference. And that conference had Lamar, Dover, who's off to a great start. Atkins, another great team in that conference. Arkansas Baptist, or Baptist Prep, I'm sorry. And, they're Mayflower is a real deal. I feel like any of the teams in this could really get on a tear here and go a long ways.
I think you're right. I think the Dover girls, the experience that they have instilled at Dover, they are a force to be reckoned with. They've already knocked off Mayflower girls. They were able to get that one win over Mayflower, that one blemish in conference play for Mayflower. So Dover's a team to be reckoned with. And, Atkins, they are also, a big rival to Dover. But also Atkins, I think they can be a force to be reckoned with in that regional as well. But I think overall, the big 2 teams to look for in that regional is going to be CAC and Mayflower. Yeah,
definitely. Yeah, Atkins and Dover split during the regular season, and then Atkins got the best of them in overtime in the no, it wasn't overtime. I'm sorry, but they got the best of them in the conference tournament, the district tournament. Other teams in there, we got the Central West Helena Cougars, and but when you they were the lower seed coming out of that region, coming out of that district, going into this regional. But they when you play CAC, when you play Episcopal's 20-5, 12-2, and they had to play CAC twice. That's 2 of their losses, and those are some pretty good games. Central West Helena, they're right there underneath them, and they ended up 12-6, 9-5. But that 9-5 in that conference that's a good record. They're going to be tough for Atkins, and Atkins 18-9, 10-4, and then those games are tomorrow on Thursday. And Dover will meet up with Episcopal. Dover didn't get any favors, 21-4, 10-3, and they got to play Episcopal 20-5, 12-2. So
yeah, it's going to be a tough draw for both of those teams, depending on who you're rooting for. And then another big regional going on, the 4A North side. We have a big game going on tomorrow with the Farmington 18-6 overall, 8-3 in conference play, taking on Pottsville, a strong Lady Apache team that is going to have a tough road to hoe, as Farmington is a pretty solid opponent.
Yeah, Farmington actually ended Pottsville's season last year in the playoffs, and right before all the COVID hit in the state tournament, and they had to, cancel that. But Farmington's not quite as hot as they were last year, but they're still a really good team. 18-6, 8-3, and coming out of that region, their district is that's a tough district. Pottsville, we've gotten to cover them a lot this season, do the play-by-play for them, and they got hot at the right time. They've been playing their best basketball. And they've struggled a little bit in the district tournament, but they played Ozark. They beat Ozark previously in the end of the regular season to claim that 2 seed in the district. But so Pottsville, that I think that's going to be a good game right there. Pottsville does a lot of things on defense to kind of cause you some issues. Mm-hmm. Some other teams, some other games in that that's a Thursday night, by the way, and also Thursday is the number 1 seed. Harrison, 16-1, 10-0. They're going to take on Ozark. We just mentioned Ozark, 16-8, 5-4. We know quite a bit about Ozark. They got a girl named Crane, and she's their center.
Crane.
She's
Carter Crane.
She's got 6'3", I think, 6'2", and very long, hard to shoot over.
Well, we went to several of those Ozark games, and I've stood right next to Carter Crane, and I can promise you, Duran, when you're standing next to her, she grows about 6 feet. When you're standing next to her, she just keeps going. So, I mean, she's a force to be reckoned with underneath that basket for the Lady Hillbillies. But taking on Harrison, and here's the bad thing about Ozark is they're hosting this region. So yes. Ozark is the home site, and they draw the number 1 seed with the Lady Goblins from Harrison, who's only lost 1 game all season long. That's going to be a big one for Ozark, and that game is Thursday as well. So the Dover, or rather the Farmington Pottsville game, I think that's a 4:00 first tip off, and then I think Harrison and Ozark comes after that.
Yeah, and the other 2 games that are tonight is Berryville, 8-9, 4-5, but they did a good job in their conference tournament and got in. They're playing Morrilton, who's 18-3, 10-0. Morrilton won the 4A4 over. Pottsville got the 2. Morrilton was the 1. Ozark was the 3, and Dardanelle, they are another one that slipped in and did a good job in their conference tournament. They got the 4. Berryville and Morrilton will be today, and Dardanelle and P Ridge as well. 4-18, 2-7 Dardanelle. Like I said, they are on their way in though, but they're playing a tough P Ridge team that got second. 20-4, 9-2. So
tough draw for Dardanelle. But I mean, if you want to talk about the Cinderella of the state, Dardanelle could be one of them. 4-18 overall. They haven't had the best of seasons, but it's a great improvement from last year. And Dardanelle is making strides. You can see that they're shooting the ball better per se, like they're actually getting the shots off when I've seen Dardanelle play. Whereas in a few seasons past, that wasn't always the case. You'd see them pass the ball around a lot, but not a whole lot of shots were being taken, and that's changed in this last season. Dardanelle's paid off for it. So Dardanelle, they have a big draw with P Ridge, and like you said, that's going to be a big time opponent to try to get through. But I'm sitting here looking at Dardanelle as kind of pulling for them a little bit, hoping that they can kind of continue that Cinderella season. Nobody expected them to be here. Right.
Yeah, they've had some COVID issues. Just about every place has, so their record might not reflect what they really might have been. It's a different year, and obviously it showed up in the district tournament, and they earned their way in. So going to be some great games, and that's just a couple of regionals we touched on. There's a lot of stuff going on around the state today and tomorrow.
That's right. And the state tournament going to kick off pretty soon. We have in 6A hosting that will be Fayetteville. Morrilton, the fantastic arena down the road in Morrilton, will host the 5A state tournament. Hot Springs will host the 5A. Morrilton hosts the 4A state tournament, I should say. Clinton is going to have the 3A tournament site. Melbourne, 2A, and Westside Greers Ferry is hosting the 1A bracket. So we got a lot of basketball yet to be played. It's my favorite time of the season, as it is madness as these teams compete. You can take a team that's almost perfect, only a couple of blemishes on the record, and you never know who's going to upset who. And you could see a Dardanelle knocking off a P Ridge. That's the type of season it gets late in the postseason.
Yeah, definitely, and that's why you love high school basketball, college basketball. You love those tournaments and that March Madness. And like you said, it's a great time. In basketball, baseball getting started. Sun's starting to come out a little bit more. And no better time to be a high school sports fan.
Yeah, that's right. And then you start hearing the tinking of the baseball. And so the spring is coming. And, it's a good time of the year. And I'm definitely ready for it to see how these regionals and state tournaments play out. And hopefully we can get farther into it than we did last year.
Yeah, definitely. There's looks like some of the restrictions are maybe starting to come off a little bit. And we'll see. There's been a few updates from AAA about even basketball, getting a few more fans in the stadium for some of these tournaments. And that's all exciting stuff. I know all of us want to get that past us and get back to a little bit normal.
Absolutely. Hey, I want to remind everybody, if you're listening and watching our podcast here, go ahead and like and subscribe and rate our podcast on the show. We certainly appreciate that. It goes a long way on our podcast. It gets the algorithms out in front of everybody so that they can see and more people can watch it. But it's going to be a big show. We have a couple of guests. Keith Zachary from Morrilton's men's team. They will be on here next. Brad Caldwell has that interview. And then also Jaiden and Ryan Koerdt from Russelville, the Lady Cyclones head coach, will join us along with his daughter Jaiden. They'll joining us a little bit later. But again, don't forget to subscribe to the Hit That Line podcast network. Just search Hit That Line whenever you listen to the podcast. It's brought to you by Breeden RV Center. Breeden RV Center is family owned and operated, and they are no pressure, laid back atmosphere, and always home to free maintenance for life. So stay tuned. We'll have Keith Zachary coming up next here on Primetime Preps, and Primetime Performers will be coming up a little bit later here on Primetime Preps. Your family, your most prized possession. You want to take care of them. You want to give them the very best. When choosing a pharmacy, you want someone that knows your name, understands you and your way of life. At Rose Drug, they will take care of your family just like you were their own. They will be someone that you can trust with the ones that you love the most. That's Rose Drug in Russelville.
Here, in the heart of the River Valley, is St. Mary's Regional Health System. Here is the area's most comprehensive range of medical services, along with advanced treatment options and responsive emergency care. Here is our team of more than 900 professionals who bring healthcare to life through people caring for people. And it is here where you can count on St. Mary's to always be, because to us, community matters. For more than 90 years, our investment in our community has been unmatched, and today that couldn't be stronger. St. Mary's, we're here for you.
When is the last time you had a life insurance checkup? Does your life insurance plan provide you with critical illness coverage or long-term care coverage? Contact the experts at Giroux & Associates for a life insurance checkup today. Protect your most valuable asset, yourself. Call Mike Giroux at 888-360-8611 to schedule an appointment today.
This hotline, we have Coach Keith Zachary of the Morrilton Devil Dogs. Coach, thanks for joining us today.
Yes, sir. Thanks, Brad. Thanks for having me.
Like we've done this before. Let's talk a little bit about your team. You guys got a really good team in the 4A. 4A is a very deep league. You guys won the 4A for both district tournament and league. Talk about your team and how you feel about them.
I just got a great group of young men. Just besides the basketball piece, they're a group of kids that I really feel like we'll have that lifelong bond, and we'll always keep in contact and laugh and joke about some things that have happened throughout the course of their career. And they can play a little basketball. We're well versed in what we can do with this basketball team. We can play you man to man. We can play a little zone. We've got some offensive weapons. The addition of Henry Cowles gives us a true inside presence, which spaces the full force. So just a great group of kids to coach. I'm just blessed to be able to coach this group. It's really a fun job.
You've got a deep team for sure. Of course, a lot of the attention is on Joseph Pinyon, the kid that has committed to the Razorbacks as a junior for you. Talk about his play this year and how he's recovered from that knee injury from last season.
Yes. Pinyon he's really a special kid, and I hate to say it again, but on and off the court, just a great kid. I remember when he was a 7th grader, he was a double playing against 9th graders, and people was like, I don't really see it. And I'm like, well, I mean, they're running 3 or 4 guys, they're boxing 1, they're triangling 2, just him, and he's still a double as a 7th grader, and you don't see it? Okay. Just wait, and you'll get to see it. And I think now people are beginning to see it because we've got some kids now that, you really can't triangle in 2s consistently or boxing 1s, and we can space the floor, and he can be who he is. And he's not just a scorer. He's very unselfish. He'll make the extra pass. He rebounds really well for us. And having Henry now and Brock Hendricks is another kid, along with Devin Foster, we can go to a little power ball for him when they put a small defender on him. He can play, 8, 10 feet in. So he's just beginning to really show his versatility as a basketball player. And that's a tribute to his teammates because they make it possible.
And how has he recovered from that knee injury?
Very well. I thought early on in the year he was a little tentative, and that's to be expected because that was a serious knee injury for him. And the first time being hurt, and the first time you're hurt, you're always a little skeptical when you come back. But he has committed to the weight room. I'm sure you've seen his body. I mean, he is really transforming into a heck of an athlete. And I told him, son, when you get to the hill, you think your body's changing now. Those guys are going to really change your body. They can do some things that I just can't do here as a high school coach, specialized, meal plans, training specifically just for him. You'll really see a transformation in him and his game once he gets there.
You guys get a chance to host the state tournament this year. I know that people don't put in to host unless they feel like they've got a shot at it. So talk about the ability to host that 4A state tournament. Obviously, you still have to win today against a good Shiloh Christian team.
Yes, and we are definitely not overlooking Shiloh Christian because they have 2 dynamic scorers over there that can get hot and go for 25, 30 points like it's nothing. So we have definitely prepared for them, hopefully as best as we can, and we'll come out with the win. We've got a couple guys that can score as well too, and we defend really, really well. We want to showcase our arena. We want to showcase our school, our facilities in our town, and our community is a great one. And we do feel like if the chips fall in the right place, we could be one of the last 3 or 4 teams standing and have a chance to be forward. But we're not taking anything for granted. We've been talking about it since these guys were 7th graders that we felt like if they stayed together, we would have a chance to make a run. And we feel like, that if everything happens the way that it should happen, we feel like we have a chance to make a run. We do.
You've got a 4A is very deep in the boys' side of things. I mean, you've got Little Rock Mills, you've got Magnolia, obviously, who's won like 700 games in a row. I mean, you've got all of those teams over there, plus you guys, probably plus another couple or 2 or 3 that I'm not even mentioning right now. But it's going to be a gauntlet. It's going to be a great tournament to go watch and see there in Morrilton.
Yes, it is. And if you're a basketball fan, and I know there are going to be some other great tournaments, but we're centrally located, and this has to be one of the best tournaments in the state. I mean, it is loaded with talent. And yes, you're right. Magnolia and Mills, they're powerhouses.
So go ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off.
And they're used to this environment. They're used to playing in big games, and they both have special players that are going to show up, and they're probably going to show out. So, it's not going to be a cakewalk for anybody. Everybody is going to have to play. There's Blytheville and Robinson and Pierre are playing well right now. There's Found Lake out in the south is playing well. There's just so many teams right now. If I missed anybody, it was not because I don't think you're good. It's just I just didn't name those teams. But this league is loaded with talent this year. So not just us, but Mills and Magnolia, they're the cream of the crop.
For sure. You were telling me yesterday when we were talking about how that you lay out all of your clothes for the whole season. And because I called you, I said you're the best dressed coach out there. You got that Mike Anderson swag going on with the suits and all. So you say you got them laid out. Do you have them laid out all the way to the state championship game?
Well, I went home and talked to my wife about it, and we laughed about it a little bit yesterday. And she told me if we're blessed enough to make it to the finals, that's a new suit. So
there you go.
That's a new suit. Okay.
Maybe some new boots too, right?
Right. But that's my preseason, because I know when the season going, it gets really, really hectic. And I go ahead and I pull the schedule out, and I just kind of situate what I'm going to wear. So when I come in on Tuesday night, I don't have to worry about what I'm wearing on Friday night. I can just load the bag and move on and get ready to prep for the game. So I know,
back to your players here, a lot of people give Joseph the attention, but there's other guys on your team that really can get things done for you.
Absolutely. And I'll start with my point guard, Devin Foster. He is a guy who I played at the point as a sophomore, moving to the shooting guard as a junior because of the necessity for a team, and moved him back to the point guard this year. And he's really beginning to thrive in that position and get comfortable in that position at the right time of the year for us. He can shoot the three ball. He can get to the rim. But what he is he is an extension of me on the basketball court. He can put guys where they're supposed to be. He knows what's supposed to happen, how it's supposed to happen. And he is an elite defender. When you lead the game, you're going to know you were defended for 32 minutes.
Long arms. That kid's got some long arms, don't he?
Yes, he does.
Somebody needs to take a look at him. He's still open. Got a chance to play and help somebody, I think.
Absolutely. He is a kid that if he's given an opportunity, they're going to know that they got a diamond in the rough in about 2 years. His best basketball is definitely ahead of him. Very intelligent, academically sound, athletic. So, yes, he's definitely a kid that somebody needs to be paying attention to. Joseph gets all the attention, but Foster makes us go. Foster guy, he's the guy that he catches all of the slack, the heat that comes from me. He catches it, and he handles it very, very well, very mature. And then there's the kid.
Go ahead, sorry.
There's a kid I call the Tasmanian Devil. That's number 2, Darius Allison. He is tough as nails. He's another elite defender. He can get downhill. He's a North and South basketball player. If he had a jump shot, he'd be really, really dangerous. Really, really dangerous. But, I have to have him in the game because he's going to guard anybody. He fears nothing and nobody, and he just sets the tempo for our basketball team. He makes us tough.
You also got guys like Brock Hendricks.
Yes.
Hendricks, you already said.
Yes, Brock Hendricks transferred in this year. We call him the rattlesnake. Hey, he's another kid that's tough as nails. Plays hard, plays with a chip on his shoulder, has that edge. When he moved in here, it's like he had always been here. Yeah. He fit right into who we're trying to be. We get up every morning, we put our boots on, grab our pail and our hard hat, and we come to work. And he just fit right into that mold. So it's been good for us. And I think Henry Kyles, the 6'10" kid that moved in the day before our first game, he's playing really good for us right now. But I think if he can get in here this spring and summer and have a great spring and summer for us, he's going to be another kid that's going to be getting some attention from some really, really big schools because he's got a lot of things in his tool bag right now. He just got to learn how to use them. We're excited about him and his future as well.
All right. Well, Coach, we really appreciate you joining us here on Primetime Preps on the Giroux & Associates hotline, and we'll be talking to you soon.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much.
All right. That's Coach Keith Zachary of the Morrilton Devil Dogs. We'll be back with more Primetime Preps right after this.
Your family,
your most prized possession. You want to take care of them. You want to give them the very best. When choosing a pharmacy, you want someone that knows your name, understands you and your way of life. At Rose Drug, they will take care of your family just like you were their own. They will be someone that you can trust with the ones that you love the most. That's Rose Drug in Russelville.
Here, in the heart of the River Valley, is St. Mary's Regional Health System. Here is the area's most comprehensive range of medical services, along with advanced treatment options and responsive emergency care. Here is our team of more than 900 professionals who bring healthcare to life through people caring for people. And it is here where you can count on St. Mary's to always be, because to us, community matters. For more than 90 years, our investment in our community has been unmatched, and today that couldn't be stronger. St. Mary's, we're here for you.
When is the last time you had a life insurance checkup? Does your life insurance plan provide you with critical illness coverage or long-term care coverage? Contact the experts at Giroux & Associates for a life insurance checkup today. Protect your most valuable asset, yourself. Call Mike Giroux at 888-360-8611 to schedule an appointment today.
Hotline, we've got Coach Ryan Koerdt and his star player and his daughter, Jaiden Koerdt. How are you guys doing today?
We're good.
We're doing well.
Doing well.
A lot better after last night.
So the Russellville Lady Cyclones did advance to the state tournament by virtue of their victory last night over Mountain Home. And Coach, you and I talked a little bit about it, so I'm just going to let you get your voice out there a little bit. Just conference tournaments and all that. You guys had to win a game to get in the state tournament, even though you had finished the regular season. Here's your platform. Tell us about how you feel about it.
I didn't feel very good about it when the conference ADs voted to have a tournament. Just kind of felt like it's something that they've never had at the 5A, 6A level. And we had time to play our games out, which is more important. We did get quarantined, but I made an effort to play my games as quick as possible and make them up as quick as possible. And, we played Greenwood on a Monday on the road and played Bologna on a Tuesday on the road back to back. And those are two top-notch teams. And, if things would have went the way they did, I mean, we wouldn't have to have done all that, but we're better for it, I think. Kids have just dealt with adversity. We've lost two really good players this year, and we just keep plugging. The kids keep finding a way to win. Jaiden's been a big part of that. She's brought a work ethic to Russellville, and I think, teaching the other girls that, and they've bought in, and it's really helped. So I'm glad that the conference tournament didn't come back to bite us. The kids had been undefeated against everybody underneath them throughout the year, and so now they get a chance to kind of let loose tonight, and they don't have to worry about if they're going to be in Hot Springs next week or not. So that's kind of my feelings on it.
Plan for seeding now. Don't have to worry about getting in. You're there now. You have punched your ticket. So let's talk to you a little bit about the fact that you were coaching boys last year at White County Central. Talk about the move from boys to girls, and then also talk about how you're coaching your daughter.
Well, the move has been, a transition for me, because the kids, gender-wise, it's different to coach. I mean, and boys see a lot of gray area, and they're not afraid to try things. And girls, they see black and white, and what you say, that's what they're going to do. They'll be sure to tell you, hey, this is what you told me to do. And with boys, you can put them somewhere in a spot, and they see both sides of things, and that's been a big adjustment. And then just communicating. Girls get challenged in a different way. With boys, you tell them they can't do something, they're going to go prove you wrong. You tell a girl that, they're going to be pretty upset and think you don't believe in them. And So that's been an adjustment for me also. But, we're 17-9. We finished 9-4 in the regular season. Now we're basically have 10 conference wins, and that hadn't been done since 1997 here at Russelville. And last year in the league, they were 4-10. And so we flip-flopped that. And last year they were 9-16 overall and played a much weaker schedule than what we played this year. And we're 17-9. And so it's just completely a 180. And the kids bought in, and it's been an adjustment for me, but I felt like professionally I've done a pretty good job, especially the last 10 ball games, just kind of adjusting what I needed to do to reach the kids better.
Yeah, that's what it's all about at the end, is just getting the kids to respond, right? I mean,
that's right.
That's 90% of coaching right there.
Mm-hmm.
Jaiden, you're playing for your dad. What's it like playing for your dad?
I would say at first it was definitely a big transition because, I was used to him going up there with me just individually and working in that way. But I've never had him, as a team coach. So at first it was a little hard because, he was harder on me than he was a lot of the other ones. And at first I didn't really understand, why he was so hard on me. But I really started to, understand that he has to be hard on me and take his coaching and just use it to the benefit and just, let him coach me and just do my thing playing wise.
And you are doing your thing playing wise. You've made a big difference there at Russellville with your play. You're a 2022 graduate, right? So you're a junior this year, right? All right. You guys have played very well this year. Tell us a little bit about the adjustment it's been making the move from, I guess what would have been 2A, is that right? 2A to 5A now. Tell us what the adjustment's been like for you.
I would say the difference is, I think overall the pace of the game going from a smaller school level to a bigger school level it's played a little bit faster out of 5A school than it would be out of 2A school. And I would say, there's more, with my team this year, there's more threats outside of me. We have a more complete team than what you would have at a smaller school.
Let's talk a little bit about your teammates and just tell us a little bit about, and both of you can put in on this, about some of the other girls that are making contributions here at Russellville.
Yeah, we have, really everybody's stepped it up lately. We have our freshman inside, Talia. She's kind of my main wing girl. She comes up to the gym and works with me, and her family has been really supportive of both me and my dad. And so she's got a ton of potential, and she's doing great this year. And then Gracie Campbell, she's another junior. She's really stepped it up lately. She's hitting big shots for us. And that showed last night. They couldn't just help in the lane, and that opened up things for me and Talia both, because what they had been doing was just helping in on us and forcing us to kick it out. And now Gracie's hitting those open shots, like against Jacksonville last week. She hit 6 threes. And so now teams are starting to respect her and her game, so they can't just sit in there. And so it's opening up for us. And then we had a senior, Pilar Handy. She has really stepped it up these past couple games, like against Jacksonville. She had, I think, 17 points. She was getting steals and deflections in our defense, and she really, really stepped it up for us. And that's what we've been needing. We've just been needing more kids to just step up and play their games. And I think it's really starting to happen for us at the right time.
Coach, you got anything to add to that?
Yeah, she's nailed it. I mean, you can tell she's a coach's kid. She kind of knows what's what, and who's who. I mean, those 4 kids, Talia Ely, I mean, she's just a freshman. Her sister played Division I basketball. She's going to play Division I basketball. Even when she doesn't have, in her eyes, a great offensive game, just like the other night against Jacksonville, I got in the car and I'm thinking she had a triple-double. She ends up with 4 points, but she has 10-plus blocks. She's getting 10-plus rebounds. Last night she had 7 more blocks. If we're bad defensively out on the perimeter, we can kind of get away with it because she's dominating the game right now. Pilar Handy's another kid that she came in and hurt her foot early on. She didn't play the first 3 games. and it's been slow for her, but here lately she's just really picked it up. She's can be a tenacious defender. She's an energy kid. She's real supportive of her teammates. And then Gracie Campbell, it took her a while to figure it out, but here in the last 6, 8, 10 games, I mean, she's really stretched the floor and opened things up for Jaiden and Talia, driving the ball, shooting the ball on the outside, and just like last night, Mountain Home wouldn't leave her, and that kept the lane open. And Jaiden got 25 points, and that was part of that. And I think the other night Gracie scored 20, and last night she scored 1, but she was just as much of a factor in the game because she has a skill that the other team has to respect. So those 4 have really been pretty steady. We've had other kids, Rain Thone, she's an energy player. We've had another freshman, Brenna Burke. They've been pretty steady. Lately, Zariah Willis is another sophomore coming on. Paige Thomas, she's a big softball player. She's going to play college softball. She's 6-footer. She's been doing some things. She started a couple games for us. She's kind of a banger and a tough kid. So it's been a fun group, overall. At times I think they've had a hard time understanding me, and I've had a hard time understanding them. But they've stuck with it, and they didn't let frustration, become a block for them. They just kept pushing through. So I'm very proud of that part of it.
Well, congratulations to both of you for having a great season there at Russelville and qualifying for the state tournament. I know that you guys have Bologna tonight. The game will have already been played by the time that this goes out, but win and you get a chance to possibly play maybe Greenwood in the finals of a conference tournament and playing for a top seed in the state tournament, which could go a long way for you.
Absolutely. That there's if things go as they're planned, the top seed out of this league will have pretty good draws. The East and Central's 1 seed will be in a part of the bracket with our 2 and 3 seed, and that's going to be probably Little Rock Christian and Batesville, and they've got both dandy teams and been top ranked all year long. So winning the league would be big. So we'll give it our best shot.
Give it a good shot. Well, you play in a tough league. There's no doubt about that with Greenwood and with Bologna especially. And so we're going to be watching, see what goes on with the Lady Cyclones moving forward into next week's state tournament.
Thanks, Brad. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for joining me. That's Coach Ryan Koerdt and Jaiden Koerdt joining us here on Primetime Preps, and we'll be back with more right after this.
Your family, your most prized possession. You want to take care of them. You want to give them the very best. When choosing a pharmacy, you want someone that knows your name, understands you and your way of life. At Rose Drug, they will take care of your family just like you were their own. They will be someone that you can trust with the ones that you love the most. That's Rose Drug in Russelville.
Here, in the heart of the River Valley, is St. Mary's Regional Health System. Here is the area's most comprehensive range of medical services, along with advanced treatment options and responsive emergency care. Here is our team of more than 900 professionals who bring healthcare to life through people caring for people. And it is here where you can count on St. Mary's to always be, because to us, community matters. For more than 90 years, our investment in our community has been unmatched, and today that couldn't be stronger. St. Mary's, we're here for you.
When is the last time you had a life insurance checkup? Does your life insurance plan provide you with critical illness coverage or long-term care coverage? Contact the experts at Giroux & Associates for a life insurance checkup today. Protect your most valuable asset, yourself. Call Mike Giroux at 888-360-8611 to schedule an appointment today. We got done with nice interviews with Keith Zachary from Morrilton, as well as Jaiden and Ryan Koerdt there on the Giroux & Associates hotline here on Primetime Prep. Certainly appreciate them joining us today. And now we're kind of looking into our performances. And the first performance I really want to talk about before we really get started, Duran, is how about those Hogs?
Yeah, definitely. Basketball, we big win last night, 101-76 over South Carolina. That was awesome. The Must Bus is rolling. I know that gets thrown out there all the time, a little bit cliche now, but it's exciting. 10 straight SEC wins, and I mean, that hasn't happened since we won the national championship, 93-94 season. Talking about Corliss Williamson earlier, he was part of that team, and it's awesome. All these polls coming out, Lenardi and Ken Palm and all that, talking about where we're at. We're starting to get a little bit more respect every week. You're starting to see it. 2 seeds talking about even now, 3 seeds. If we win the tournament, we might be a 2. So that's huge, and gotta love it.
It's a good time to be a Razorback fan. Not only the baseball team doing well, but also baseball doing fantastic. I was telling a friend of mine the other day, I said, it doesn't really matter what the Razorback baseball team does. I just don't think they're going to climb much higher in the polls this year. So you got a number 1 ranking in Baseball America. That's an outstanding way to perform for the baseball team. But looking at some of the performances that we've had locally, so we'll start with the girls' side. That's what we usually like to do. Coming out of Conway, Chloe Clardy, I should say, the sophomore guard, a big 31-point performance by the Wampus Cats.
Yeah, great job by the Lady Wampus Cat. Got the big win over Little Rock Central, 78-56, and she put it on them with those 31 points. So excellent performance there by her. Another one we want to look at is Desart, the Desart Eagles, coming over from Eastern Arkansas. Carolyn Harris, the senior guard, she had 31 points.
Yeah, big win over Carlisle, 77-51 in that conference semifinal. So Caroline Harris, as a senior, really putting it on over from Desart, 31 points. And it's kind of ironic, all of our ladies tonight have 31 points in their performances, including Ashton Knapp out of Westside Gears Ferry, a sophomore performance with 31 points and a big win.
Yeah, it's a huge night for her. 31 points again, and 61-40 win over Izard County, and that was in the 1A2 conference semifinals. So she's gotten it rolling down there for the Lady Eagles.
Yeah, absolutely. And then we have all 31s, and then we have 2 of them are both Eagles and with a green jersey. So that you don't see that very often. Yeah,
and that Desart game, Caroline Harris, she that was against Carlisle, and I can promise you, my dad is a Brinkley alum, and I've got family through the Stuttgart, DeWitt, Desart, all in that area, and Biomeda. That's how you pronounce it. Don't look that way, but anybody from there is going to know what I'm talking about. But Caroline Harris, she and Carlisle or Desart, that's a big win over Carlisle. And like I said, they definitely don't like each other.
Definitely not. So I mean, the ugly wins are always a good win. At 77-51, those 31 points came in handy for Desart, and that was a big time performance, primetime performance from Caroline Harris. And looking over at the boys' side, we have Jaron Burrow with a 41-point show out. He's definitely putting up some primetime numbers.
Yeah, that's a insane number in high school. Great job for the Buffalo Island Central sophomore forward, and they got the win 70-62. That was in the first round of the 2A3 conference over East Poinsett County. So excellent job there by Jaron Burrow. And we have also Paul Hart. He had a big 35-point performance for flipping.
And against a team that you don't hear about very often, that's the Arkansas Arts Academy. You never hear them being talked about, much less flipping. You hear flipping a little bit more, but 35 points from the junior forward with Paul Hart, definitely putting up some good numbers. And then another senior performance, this time from Braxton Cousins from Concord, 35 points and a 71-31 victory over Shirley.
Yeah, huge night for Braxton Cousins. I can't believe my my inaugural time on Primetime Preps is a Concord team. We got a performer from Concord because I coach third grade basketball at Dover and some softball and stuff like that. And my co-coach or the actual head coach of third grade and my assistant in softball, Mark Stevens, he was a big time point guard for Concord, and always give him a hard time about being purple, and we always call them the grapes. But no, excellent program down there at the Pirates, and that's an awesome job by Braxton getting that win over Shirley in the 1-2A conference semifinals, 71-36. So that was they ran away with it, and his 35 points were the difference mainly.
Well, we got a lot of more basketball to go. We have all the regionals coming up, as well as the state tournament yet to go. So we still have a couple more shows of Primetime Prep. So we're going to bring you as we get ready and finish up the basketball season. Duran, you'll be a part of that, I'm sure.
Yes, sir. Season 2, kind of wrapping it up, and it's going to be some fun stuff ahead here in these tournaments, and we can't wait for moving along here and getting in the baseball season, and it'll be, before you know it, we'll be back to football. Got summer workouts and all that will be getting started. Spring football getting started up right now.
I'm ready for it.
I appreciate you bringing me on the show today, Bill. It's been a lot of fun.
You bet. So that's our show for today, and I want to thank everybody for sticking in with us, and thank you for watching Primetime Preps. I'm Bill, and for Duran, also Brad out on the road. So long, everybody.